read some poems from my new book. It's called The Saints of Capitalism. And a little bit of background, one of the major themes of the book is capitalism as a religious belief system. And so the first section of the book is called Articles of Faith. It lays out some of the tenets of that belief system. And I'm going to start with a poem called Exegesis. And exegesis is something you can find in religious texts sometimes as an explanation of that text. I write for the insignificant shadows elongated on the warm asphalt of words. I write for the drapes that keep the sun from entering the rooms of expensive gifts. I write for the violent waves crashing on the gentle coastal rocks that absorb them. I write for the wind that passes through the eternal entrance that can be slammed shut. I write for the green-haired teenager with a feather crushing a semi on her tongue. I write for the ones who hate poetry, for I'm just a gorilla loving in sign language. I write for those who have broken my heart. That's me, passed out drunk between the letters. I write for the lone country light unaware of the darkness breathing down its neck. I write for all the saints of capitalism worshipping at the decrepit altars of long cons. This poem's called Conarchy. A conarchy is kind of like a monarchy. It is a system of government. It's a system of government run by con artists, not monarchs. So. Hustle, hustle, con, con. Con, con, hustle, hustle. Hustle, hustle, con, con. Con, con, hustle, hustle. Pastor Mike with the con, con. Buddy, give me the $5 in your wallet, and I'll give you $1 that will transform into the breasts of an angel after 90 days. Marlene Needler with the hustle, hustle. I guarantee your old shoes have gold inside of them. You need to hoard your gold. My dog Sparkles can lick those laces right down to the nuts. Mad Dog Murphy with the con, con. Listen, amigo, you need to stop reading books and plant your extra time on the side of a mountain. A grove of saved trees will grow, filled with woodlands. Jonathan Clark with the hustle, hustle. I know it looks like we gave your job to a robot Paul, but immigrants stole it. They're climbing out of beer cans. They're invading North Dakota. Rainbow Richards with the con, con. Sure, your professor has a few fancy degrees, but can she tell you how snakes evolved from toothbrushes? How horses are made from snow? Well, St. Lulu can. Dr. Orchard with the hustle, hustle. Our research proves that staring languidly out of a window for 30 minutes a day can help a person build the meaningful relationships they will have to ruin to get ahead. New website with the con, con. Toiletism, a term describing jokes meant to mock a person's bodily functions. Example, making fun of my farts again, Joe? You're such a toiletist. Mary Higgins with the hustle, hustle. There's a hot new press marketing poetry collections to drug dealers. Each book is hardcover and contains a space inside the back cover with enough room to hide a stash. The prestigious council with the con, con. Don't worry, aging is no longer relevant to us. You're not getting older. The fat of your paunch will rise upwards to smooth out the wrinkles on your face. Senator Barry with the hustle, hustle. Of course, this is a democracy. We just can't let you vote this year, Anaya. If you vote, that will make it less democratic for everyone else. Hustle, hustle, con, con. Con, con, hustle, hustle. Hustle, hustle, con, con. Con, con, hustle, hustle. And the second section of the book is the title section, so it's The Saints of Capitalism. And each poem kind of explores a different life, and all kinds of lives are represented, rich, poor, and everything in between. This is because basically in the book we're all saints of capitalism, we're all living in this system. So this first poem is called Honor. To address me, they say, Your Honor. The robe, the bench, the gavel, relics in this holy temple of capitalism. And I too am honorable. Went to the right schools, succeeded in the right jobs, married the right woman, had the right number of kids, helped the right people, asked the right people to help me. Every door is big enough for honor to pass through. But is mine the honor of the tiger or the zookeeper who feeds him? Where is my honor at 3 a.m. when thoughts shinny to rooftop murders? Where was it the night I held her down and forced her to touch me? Was it honor itself that allowed that night, and all the nights after? I have inhaled honor like the second-hand smoke of a cigar while playing golf with senators. Honor is what keeps me in this wealthy community. It means I don't have to shake the hand of anyone who bothers me. Today, a disgraced nurse was in my court. She told us that she was ashamed of what she'd done. Her hands were shaking, like in an ancient dance or rite. But what I want to know is, where did she get so much honor? It's called Spider. Crossing a river in Africa, a spider shooting her blacksmith's thread of melted down swords and armor. The world's molten madness bridging, dangling over the water. The creature moves frantically, and to an observer miraculously, like some stressed out downtown commuter, levitating to work. Surely this is a phantasmagorical outpouring of mighty engineering, golden gates sprung from a thimble that you would never believe if it hadn't bored you in second grade, like the kindness of Jesus Christ. When we wake up, we must scrub our knowledge with wonder every day. We must become stupidly smart, reciting information about toenails, excited that they actually exist. See how the web spans the breadth of the river, sparkling in the sunlight. Like the grid of a future city, this great cathedral of feasting towers above the current. The spider has toiled on her masterpiece, intricate painting for the dead to be held. The bugs writhe in the snare. The spider climbs throughout each of them, in the gloom of grace and light. This is called House. Light drowns in clouds, sinking down to a suburban street, and in this overcast wreck of sullen corpses, pale limbs and faces come to rest outside the houses on this block. Here, gossiping gardens invite you in for conversation. Frank fences don't want to see you around. The house with the red door has a low voice like a Hollywood actress from the 50s. The bright blue house is always talking absent-mindedly about the rocks in her yard. Mary watches it all from her window. She suspects her house looks sad, brown paint mumbling about the slights of the past. Mary herself is sad. Her dolor has spread through cup stains and scratches on the plates ever since her boys left her here all alone. Must a house take on the moods of an owner? Surely, felicitous houses must contain the morose from time to time. Surely her boys must love her for all the messes she cleaned with rags and silence. More sun corpses descend. After a few months of hunger, Mary finds herself refreshed in their rotting light. And then the third section of the book is entitled My Autohagiography. So hagiography being like a biography of a saint, and your autobiography being your own story. This is my own story as a fellow saint of capitalism. And I'm going to read a poem called Wisconsin because I used to live in Wisconsin. I remember fields so wide they could grow Civil War reenactors. I remember the creek that ran through our land like an old relationship. Banks of familiar yet perilous adventures and bridges made from the broken sticks. I remember the woods that still haunt my dreams with shipwrecked trunks of elm and ash and oak, pulling the land down into an alien ocean, The dogwood rising to look me in the eye with a Shakespearean speech of red stems. I remember the seasons that felt closer than the neighbors. Winter had a drinking problem, not waking up to melt the snows till noon. Autumn was a handsome redhead, too shy to tell the girls his feelings until it was too late. Spring was middle-aged, rediscovering herself through yoga, bending and twisting with new life, but her joy seemed kind of fake. Summer was relaxed, always eating peanuts. Born into wealth, he smoked such long cigars. I remember myself on this land, exposed where no one could see me. Not happier, not better, just trying to find myself lost in the woods. This is called accomplishment. At the park, my daughter climbs to the top of the slide. Her teeth bared tenaciously with something greater than will. Her force of a face pushes its way through. Tiny hands grip pieces of plastic. Boots find footholds as she scales this pretend peak. On her back, I see lines of transformation like national borders imposing a vision upon a continent. When she reaches the top, I cheer her down the slide. She tells herself, "Good job," and I laugh at the self-congratulation. She climbs a few more times. Skateboarders scrape words from pavement. A basketball bounces, clangs a giraffe off the rim and bounces again. Dogs prance by, pulling slavish owners by the leash. What lasting mark will any of us make with our little fists clenched? There is no violence like inertia. The sun finds a way to break through the leaves, catching me with a single ray. This next poem contains a term that some folks might not be familiar with. The term is haxiety. It was coined by a medieval Scottish monk philosopher named Duns Scotus. And haxiety basically means thisness, and it refers to the unique qualities of every object in the universe that's separated from every other object. So even if you're looking at like two identical chairs, according to Duns Scotus, these would be completely different because it has its own haxiety, its own unique essence of being. Which I think is kind of a cool idea. The poem's called Belly. My wife's pregnant belly announces himself at the dinner table. He lets us all know he's a very busy and important man with a Brooklyn accent. I'm creating a new life in here. The online reviews are incredible. He's doing extraordinary work. Sometimes I listen outside the studio to the strange noises coming from inside. A chainsaw, a fire extinguisher, an old bike horn. The expectation is thrilling. Still, does he have to be so arrogant? Walking ahead of my wife with his nose up in the air. Demanding hamburgers at 4 a.m. Pickles dipped in peanut butter for dinner. He exudes an unmistakable air of accomplishment. He's graced the cover of every magazine with that famous essence of futures. But it is not quiddity that is forming on those long nights, it is haxiety. The more confident he gets, the more he will diminish as a specific glory unfolds. He is not a shaper of forms. He is just a celebrity, sitting in his studio dumbfounded, watching eyelids becoming new. Thank you. And I just have one more tonight. This is from the last section of the book, which is a little different. It's entitled The Tyrant Cycle, and it's a poem cycle that basically describes a historical cycle by which a democratic state would slip into authoritarianism. It was influenced by a lot of reading I was doing like 4 years ago. I read a lot of historical nonfiction about that and kind of saw some patterns emerge, and I was like, it kind of just became a poem cycle in my head. And so each poem in the cycle represents a different phase in this process. I'm going to read number 2, which is called Modernization/Social Change, in which the unprepared nation endures a catastrophic event or undergoes a form of modernization that threatens the established order. Did you see a breath blow up the sky? A skyscraper fall to its knees for one final prayer? Did you read the treaty? The government is exporting our waterfalls and importing exotic animals to roam free in the streets. Did you hear what the king said? Babbling about mirrors inside his skull. They say he hasn't left his bed in days. Did you speak with the empty bellies sliding along the sidewalks? That torn packaging from a youth that's been devoured? Events brought us to the future, but when I wake up, I notice the sky appears from the past. It shifted here, pulled by needy clouds from the time we liked to mythologize. It has stayed with us as flags fell like veils over driveways and lawns, as the events grew so large they could fit inside each one of us. Fathers and grandfathers, with all their eloquence, could not stop the flaming clouds from raining ashen human bodies. Mothers and grandmothers, for all their strength, couldn't quite slap the knives from our hands. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to read first a poem that drew attention to Leopoldo here. If there was a choice. If there was a choice between reading about reality or seeing it touch the thought as braille, the volume of the world funnels in through a gap in the window. The old factories in the industrial distance, the salt of the Bay Area. If there was a choice, I meditate in plum blossoms. No, I wouldn't do flowers on horseback. Nor would I eavesdrop on the crescendo of song and dance behind the imperial door. If there was a choice, I choose to be poor, unnoticed, unrewarded, unfettered by ropes of language, social morals. If there was a choice, I would not obey the rules of pickpockets, adult meat vendors, paperback vendors, insurance salesmen, cabin bouncers. I would just amble, stare at the cracks of the sidewalks, and envision a dandelion shooting through, yellow and fine. Or I imagine the blackberry vine in the inner city growing okay without city rain, heaven's pennies that abstain from taking. If I had some choice, I have a morsel of rice, heart over rice. No, I have some tea, heart over rice. If I'm begging the king, if the choice was really mine, I simply choose to be kind. This tells you a little bit about my family. There's a generation where they have what they used to call chopsity house. You know, you go in with your family, you have number one, number two, number three dinners. And, or if you, like Bob Hope says, you come to a party of four, you get 8 rolls. Okay, this is a slow break in the nuclear command. We multitask, chop, grill, walk, and pickle. If pickle, we come at all hours, drunk, after sex, before meetings, hucksters, gangsters, no telling who wants what stir fry, steamed rock cod with head in both eyes. My father at the meat block hacked spirits, caused bone from chicken, minced onion, 6 sons, chow mein, French fried sausage, whip the gravy, beat the eggs, until you get food young into thinking the sperm gang from the calf. Smoke signals say the pork chops are burnt, the white sauce turning yellow, while the waitress's ladle soup sounds like the feeding at the zoo, chopsticks single from the corner booth. On and on, doors, motors start and stop, doors open and shut, ice water set down as menus are tossed. You need a minute? Mom's helping the girls to wash glasses and teapots. It would be sinful to run out of hot mustard during the rush. My father drinks my coffee, and I smoke his Marlboro. 2 cowboys in the cattle drive, feeding our rustlers. And damn, the waitress says the women's toilet is overflowing. We're going to go fishing as soon as our mental breakdown's over. We're going to take a smoke break from the nuclear command. Just then, at party 12 comes in. Well, put two tables together, like a man joining a woman, the yin and the yang, or kids with yo-yos, the family doing family business, money for school books, and long extensions. Okay, the next one, these poems are starting to get silly, and then they get sillier and sillier. Okay, the next one is called Technology. A fruit fly is nanotechnology of an airplane. In the same way, a whale is an oversized tadpole. And you are the caricature of love hanging from my window, or from the flag, or from the wings of an airplane. Your breast is the most luminous pleasure in the dark night, like dogs cooing for cardinal shade. But who can criticize a fruit fly or your edible lips? Above and below air, sea dust. Above and below air, and sea vessels visit a harbor. Perhaps I should stop talking and climb Mount Olympus. Next month, as your brother mentioned, I published Goldfish Press. And our next author, we're going to have a book launch party for him here, April 13th, same time as tonight, and then so we're going to show you what his book looks like from the outside. Thank you. And this is an organization that the Paul Nelson belongs to, or the integral member of. It's called Cascadia Poetics. And they're doing an anthology of Zen writing in the Northwest. So they asked me for something, to contribute something. So I think that Zen is something you don't think too much about. You just do it spontaneously. So I thought I'd just spontaneously write a poem. And so the poem is called Spontaneous Zen. I have heard the Sam the Hat, a Zen student. Sam and his teacher came to the river. Sam took off his hat, sat on it, and floated across. The teacher, however, rented the boat and laughed across. And when you reach Sam, you hit him on the head as punishment for so long. Sam was still somewhat arrogant and composed the poem after walking 7 paces from the teacher. The poem was this, and Sam the Hat recites it. Oh mistress, how your scent lures me, or your skin keeps me out. My teacher asked me, who hauls your corpse? Sitting here, eating chicken, I carefully separate meat from bone. In Taiwanese Chinese dialect, that's the dialect I spoke in the village when I was in China as a little boy. And the Taiwanese Chinese dialect, we do not say a fish. For example, the goldfish has died. We say it has zen, with a downward accent. We need to distinguish living things that have a soul from those that do not. So we say a fish expires, and not dies. Presumably a fish does have a soul. I never knew, but I can think of a brilliant painter in calligraphy, as my mom claims my dad was. He gives it all up and never practices his art again. Not that it was wrong, it just what allows him, I say. He who travels lighter travels farther. But who is this Sam the Hat? I could be Sam the Hat with a bit of self-reference. When I was a boy visiting my second maternal uncle in his Baolu village, he teaches me to play Chinese chess and admonishes me to never wear a tall hat. A tall hat is what they parade dancers in China. It's also the officials wear. The Chinese language is like that. Many characters ideograms and ideographs play multiple roles because the language only has 50,000 characters or words. And so characters have to play multiple roles. For example, you would call your mother, mother, and not horse. So watch the inflection. When you speak Chinese, you say ma, 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 ma. You say ma is your mother, ma is a horse. But who am I kidding? I'm no scholar, and that's a hat I don't need to wear. So back to silliness. This is called the disembodied hand. The hand that moves across the sterile hours in a ward for the insane, that wanders over the bare breasts of neck women, hungry for a touch behind locked doors, forever locked out of consciousness, of those who toil in broad daylight for a loaf of their logic, just so the fat mouths of children can go on sucking. The hand is stationary on the defunct clock, indicating ill repair. The mistaken purchase hand from a second-hand store made of plastic, fabricated in Hong Kong, in the impoverished sector of town, for the Asian immigrants who have not been here long, nor is there a place of permanence in the hearts. The hand that is penning this, the tired, effete, warm, and callous hand that betrays a heart that is now becoming this callous, as the opposition itself, calling for the severance from the body politics that the hand previously fed it. The hand that is tired being judged, the abandoned knock of the hand is this embodied hand that belongs to no one, it belongs to everyone. The hand that will finally pick up a weapon, is this embodied hand that belongs to no one, it belongs to everyone. The hand. This is somewhat of a sad tune. The Rails is dedicated to Hai Ji, a poet in China who died at the age of 25 by laying himself down on the railroad tracks. He entered the University of Beijing at 15, and he worked in the law department at some university in China. He was quite popular right after he died. He was becoming increasingly popular. So that's not the way I envisioned to be myself. So I want to live. So, hear the rails hum, my little hobo. Hear the lullaby of wind. Go to sleep, my little hobo. Breathe the brevity of wind. Hear the rails hum, my little hobo. As something colossal galvanizes the land. As I lift my pen, little hobo, iron monsters begin tearing the last pockets of land. We are laying the tracks. We lay them as straight as we can. And so go to sleep, my little hobo, as I listen to your words carried by the wind. The wind that calls us, but we cannot talk back. It's not for us to know, we know. So go to sleep, my little hobo. Let your unending dreams be carried by the wind. These days it's very easy to send an email or a text or something on a cell phone, but I still prefer a handwritten or a typed letter through the regular postal mail, because Hamish, I used to look for the post office one time in our life, so I still have loyalty to the post office. I think we should be supported. The power of the stamp. The bulkiness of words isn't a burden. For words of promise and journey by the power of the stamp. After midnight, I become weary in old tunes haunt me. A quarter of a century ago, a galaxy was all we knew, and too comforting. The sense the entire universe expanded. My keyboard is the only thing that stayed the same. It is relentlessly emitting words in this cyberspace. But I prefer to send you my typed letters. They will travel via human hands, by human contact, facilitated by the postman. It just takes the same care to drop my letter into your mailbox. In whatever cycle the universe is in, whether wash or dry, my letters are steady because they're composed by my heart. And although you only have the city away, my words are almost as good as legal tender. In my necessary pauses, you can see that my heart flutters for you as my inspirations are the result of absence. This poem is getting abstract, so in a sense, it's even more absurd. The four modalities. Always wishing the world something else, aren't you? The world is the world, and it consists of these things: rain, snow, sun, night. Nothing more to worry about. Rain pours like salt, and you need it. Snow needs plowing, and you got the job. Sun, you have one, and that's enough. And night is when you cry. When they shut down the rain, it's something you don't want to forget. Drenched, you're forced to find a domain where you get a better interpretation. Snow is a bit flaky, covering the world in forgetfulness, where battles have been fought and men slain in the vast white field, human appendages protrude. In sun, we love its warmth, but it kills too, baking the mud and boiling the water away. Night is fearsome. No one can hold it back. So go gentle into it, regardless what invisible hand that tossed the die. I'll read one more and to celebrate myself growing older. And I am age 73 now. I started doing poetry about age 35, and I'm still looking for any signs of improvement. Aging. Just yesterday, I closed the door to the room I won't go back to. Just yesterday, I stopped saying, "We shall see what we shall see." I've seen it, sort of, enough of it. I imagine not long from now, I'll be sitting in the lobby of the Emerson Hotel, looking out, see young lasses walking by, and say to myself, they were decorating my room well. Once, while a memory snagged me, I walked inside a city ravine, seeing wildflowers I know not the names of. Once in a while, the image of the woman with the Spanish eyes emerged from the long-lost diary. How she had sat frequently in the same coffee counter. We both drank dark coffee. And not a word was ever exchanged, but we both had our own loneliness to attend to. Now I'm a symphony of aches and pains. I suffer, I skip my afternoon nap. I've been so most of my life. By coming out even, I didn't. Something wrong with my methods, or others saw futures of commodities better than I did. Perhaps the problem was I've forgotten the wildflowers in the city ravine, and also afterwards were just commodities. Well, thank you very much. You've been very kind.
One more round of applause for Koon and Benjamin, because that was awesome. And thank you to Leopoldo for having us all here tonight, and for putting a couple of my poems in a published capacity online, which is really cool for me. One of those poems, the recent one, is called "Are They Smiling?" and I'll read that right now. Banks were invented as a place or shared mental space to store wealth we cannot use Well, I could use it right about now. Most people could, though. Or at least most of it is in the banks. So most people can't touch it or eat it or smoke it. If you got it during the pandemic, that $2,000 that one time, rent was due to eat that before you could turn on gas. Eat it raw like ground turkey. The texture between material and immaterial. A transitory state. A place the bank occupies in my head. I have little value for the many ways I cannot keep the unhoused warm, full, and housed, though they held a sign yesterday telling me anything helps, even a smile. I gave $1 and a smile, because in none of the portraits of the slave owners on the bills are they smiling. And the second poem I'll read tonight is a meditation. So it's called Meditation on the Self. Beneath a dark sky, lie where starlight arrives. With your hand on your chest, feel the beat. Rest. Pick a big word. Music, breath, energy. Sense your pulse as the cosmic river flows. You will feel small, but know there are more cells to make your heart beat than stars in the dark sky you can see.
Hi, I am Hamish Todd. It's nice to be back. Thanks, everybody. Once in a while, I think if it goes through for everybody kind of like this, you'll write like just 3 or 4 excellent pieces, you know? And you'll be like, wow! And so these are 2 of the 4 that I wrote, which I just think are bitchin'. This is called Amenities. I took my amenities out for a walk. Careful to pick up after them. 3 accidents unclean will get you kicked right out. We gotta be careful for that lady in number 3. She doesn't like me, and I know she's put her little dog Scat near my entrance trying to implicate my amenities. My amenities were so named by the landlord, who doesn't live here anymore. The building has been sold and resold like a commodity rather than an apartment, an oddity that beguiles capitalism. When I came in with the dogs, they were called Cain and Abel. But then this new management company said I was lucky to have a place. Amenities were $250 each. I used to use the porch to hang colored lights, light up our nights a little. But the landlord said that porches are amenities. We can take it away. No grilling, no wind chimes, no bird feeders of any kind. Not those messy seed tubes, nor the red hourglasses with little plastic yellow flowers for the hummingbirds to siphon nectar. All of that looks and sounds nice, but you have to pay extra. Birds bring rats. You wouldn't want that now, would you? It doesn't matter what I want. The amenities, and I dodge traffic and go to the park where we're free to run and piss and bark. But the apartment's rent has climbed from $500 to $1,200, 400% in just 3 years. And what do we get for the extra money? What amenities do we get for the bread? Swimming pools, elevators, wind chimes, solar energy, a freaking pool table, ping pong? The system is broken, man. Something is wrong. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. After all, Walmart and Freddy's with their union-busting trucking racket will feed you cheap, cheap, cheap. What do you want to feed the birds for anyway? This is called Bipolar Day at the Beach. Who the hell would want to need me? I'm a horrible insult to a monkey, a dirty, filthy human being. And today, all the modernity, the man jewels and tattoos, all the clothing sewed together with stolen buttons and promises, broken rocket parts fished from the ocean, me naked and without a single boner pill that they're constantly testing me about because I must have once looked up strap-ons or rubber extender to enhance my aging gender. What more a man if not his penis? This is a question for the aged, and one we should turn the page on already, but I wasn't quite over the waiting, the hesitation to embrace me in total body and soul, both though I feared were too battered, too really matter to anyone. Doubted my ability to be faithful, doubted my ability to make money, doubted my ability to make love. So I strapped styrofoam to the inside of my legs, with abandoned bungee cords to my feet, to my arms. I bound broken buoys to the outside of my legs, the dregs of happy campers, the flat of an ice chest lid, tied on my back with frayed yellow nylon grain, abandoned fishing net tied around and knotted in front. I jumped into the sound from the cement slab rockery where the seagulls gathered and chattered, their yellow beaks speaking the only truth that really matters. Yap, yap, yap. I lay on my back and did a lap. Looking up at the wishbone sky, I felt floating, light even. I drifted, feeling free. The clouds parted, bringing with it the insolent sun, smiling all the time. What's so goddamn funny? But I could not resent her another moment. Now that I had myself, I was the raft. The gulls landed on me, countered me stable enough to spread their segmented pink feet, lay down their puffy budgies and splat, squirt, white poopy paint job. The absurdity of life suddenly reaching through the fog, I managed a chuckle, feeling as good as I felt all week. I rudder my head left and head for the beach.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. Last Poetry Bridge, Mary Ellen Talley read a poem about Wordle, which many of you probably are very familiar with. These are a couple poems that take off from the Spelling Bee, which is another New York Times game. I don't know, has anybody played Spelling Bee? So what I've done with these is take lexicons from Spelling Bee, which is sort of an anagram game. You get a bunch of letters, you make the words, and so forth. So go figure it out. Filch, finch, music. High in the plum, a finch emits a song for no one but other finches. Chill air signals an equinox gone from this hill, from this hemisphere. Darkness, cinching days, a drawstring closing drapes. Grays clinch their rule. Inching further indoors, duck down crannies, flinch deep into cingulate cortices. First, filch the bird's music to revisit, hinging human happiness on finch notes. Acacia maid. Under the acacia, midday dimmed. Amid the bustle, a mime, mimic of future coronations, planted a silence. About the same moment, an aide placed a diadem on a maid clad in a simple cami and denim. At that instant, the crown flashed mica bright from the girl's black curls. Near her open-toed shoe, mice stilled. Through a phalanx of media photographers, she etched a path, acid eating a metal plate. From her relaxed and regal manner, an immediacy magnetized the plaza. With her own center, Within her own center, her frontal cortex to be academic, an idea eddied as if from an iced river. To that placid, imagined realm, she decided to step. Off the desert plot below the tree, she plucked a pod, as if to pop it into her mouth, as if it were a macadamia nut. Above the pleased crowd, she held the seed. Into the sand she fed it, a dime into a jukebox, no one wise to the song that might play. On a branch above her, the cicada hum died. Inside the ground, a green rain began.
Hi, my first poem today is called Land Acknowledgement. A name created from imagination's figment is Otissus, from the northwest, up a hill from the lake's isthmus. Of the Duwamish tribes would otherwise be known as from those foreign who trespassed and caused pandemonium. Your land was sacred, but was taken over without moratorium. Solidarity extends towards your peaceful resolution and solidarity for your whole existence. Your tutelage is pertinent towards a peaceful resolution. Your tribal village lived the greenest sustainable solutions. Broad-shouldered, brimming steady is your river, an open-air, ever-flowing tunnel on a stretch of flatness south of Alkai's funnel. However, its surroundings make it easy to get swallowed, a stellar investment so attractive it got repoed. If you were to see the Duwamish River today, it was probably while on transit from hundreds of feet away, for it has gone from a place to gather to only for those hired, a color transparent to opaque, as it's now the place to move and park the cargo or store our piles of spit pouring barbo. Instead of glorifying, we've made it hidden, bordered by 4 lanes on each side, and swallows oil runoff in exchange for our rides. This next poem is called AA. Hello, I am Otissus and a sugar addict. It started in the home, Mom's homemade cookies, embedded in the meal plan, her recluse of baking. It saves some money. One batch makes 48 servings to accommodate the mouths to feed. The jar opens slowly, discreet. But with each chip of chocolate's treat, a habit formed, post-feast complete. And when loneliness is your evening's form, comfort is reposed with a stack of 4. Stretch marks reveal my body's transition to keep up with what it's given. Like stripes seared of white on my rear, remind that sugar's itch got a hold of me here. Flexed on willpower after benders of grasshopper pie soured my ability to moderate this flavor, so I transferred to savory. Now, when sugars threat to retreat from my treatless pact, I recall the lifetime's worth I've pulled back and pass. And then I put them 2. Is it okay if I do one more?
Well, it's not an epic.
It's not long. But it's called Selfie. There's a side of me I hate. Wait, I'm getting there. While at selfies I compare the word aware, an adjective that lights a fuse and guides the first path to self-improve. But I digress. glaring at myself, acknowledging symmetry mishaps. One side, demure, innocent, pure, full of compassion, and a profile of pleasant attraction. The other, wary gaze, sentiments shown in bulbous-ish nostril, and how my lips don't meet. I need to drink more water, communicating through my cheeks. My gaze downshifts to my shoulders, tips, off my side, tense and tenting off my side neck, stop flexing and pull them back to the warmer shoulders, blades down, surrender, open heart and engaged center. A body stretch proves a boost of self-acceptance. Thank you.
All right. Okay. This poem basically talks about, can you hear me? Yeah. This poem basically talks about events that happened 60 years ago. All right. And I need to give a little bit of an introduction because things were different 60 years ago. Right. So, I went to a school, a residential school, a co-educational school that was called the Lawrence School, Sanawar. Sanawar being the name of the hill on which the school was situated. And so there was an author who claimed, whose name was Rudyard Kipling, who said in one of his books, he wrote the Jungle Book and stuff. So he said in Kim, he said, send a boy to Sanawar and make a man of him. Alright. So here goes. It's teasing monkeys. Long, long ago, while studying in Sanawar, where boys became men, Kipling opined, what made a man, he left undefined. Kamal, I, teased monkeys, were routed, fled. A troop of the rhesus macaque species, monkeys dwelt within the school premises, mostly arboreal, sometimes on rooftops, babies, mothers, humongous males. Kamal, a year older, yet smaller than me, though a grade ahead, still my friend, Tony he was called and bullied, I, studious, tattler, bullied, ostracized. The hillsides of Sanaa abound in trails, shadowed by pine, cedars, deodora trees. The trail behind the hall dining, the spot we chose for our monkey meeting. Drawn up for battle, our foray began. Yells of Rama, Rama, Guru, Guru outrang. The monkeys were of Rama unaware, for our clamor they did not care. Our forays had been ignored, our honor had been slighted, our fragile self-worth was gone. Forthwith our attack escalated. Picking up handfuls of the stones invitingly strewn over the trail, we discharged them at the monkeys. A separate volley at Kurwan, the largest male. Instantly the monkeys charged us. En masse, Kurwan leading the chase. Kamal and I sped separate ways. Monkey troops split, one after each of us. I sprinted as fast as I could run. A scream of fear from me was torn. No further damage was done. Kurwan's troop did its pursuit abandoned. I returned home via a path frequented, thankful for monkeys unlearned, in the motto, never give in. It explained why they never into men developed. The school motto was never give in. And see, the monkeys were living there, but they never got into the motto, but luckily for me. Right.
So I spent my last few decades standing with women in black, and I don't know if you know who they stand on a corner and wear black. And there were women from all kinds of cultures and backgrounds. It started with Israeli and Palestinian women doing it. And then I ended up with a son who joins the military. So the first place he was stationed outside of the US was in Seoul. And right now he's in Poland, indefinitely. But this poem is called Egypt in Seoul. Because The dead god's picture hangs on the kitchen. Bird's beak, paring knife, shoved aside. We reach for the carving knives. We like the grip. Balance, light as erasers. The knife curves silver, slashes, and metal flakes light. We all feel it. Slashes and flakes of skin, chips of bone, and blood pools. We all feel it pool out for the birds and the rats. And after all the noise, a weighted shh crawls up from the ground and finds no outlet. Only the killers have relief, butchers with peace, and things grasped and things new. Power doesn't understand time.